Yo, 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 welcome back to the channel. Today's a different kind of video. We've not done this before. I get quite a lot of inquiries come through our website, Instagram DMs. They basically ask me for mentoring and say, can we come up and come spend the day with you and just learn something? But obviously, time's precious, so it's hard to actually do that and not be paid for it. It's not something we've really wanted to explore up until recently, where we're like, do you know what? If there's enough people asking, maybe we could set up some sort of program or some kind of academy, which we're looking to do into the new year. And today, there's a young man called Ian, and he was keen to come up and keen to come and learn something. And we have done this a couple times before, but we just never filmed it because we didn't think it was something that you would film. But I'm actually thinking that today we could do a bit of a case study on it. So we thought, bring Ian up, introduce him to the team, show him around, talk about some HMOs, how we operate them, what our processes are, and see what he takes away from the day. And then film it as well, so you guys can see what sort of value we're adding to his knowledge. As far as I know, he doesn't have much experience with HMOs, but really wants to get into property development. So follow us today on this journey. He's going to start with Dad, and then Steve, and then me later on, because we've just bought a new property recently and we're doing a site survey on it. So enjoy this video. It's going to be kind of different, and subscribe.
Yo, yo, yo.
What are we up to then, Hugh?
We're tour guides, so we're on another adventure today. We're meeting Ian, lovely guy, who reached out to us to get a little bit of mentoring, see our projects and any advice we can give. We're happy to help, so he'll spend his trip to Darlington from London going around different sites, meeting different team members, while I go and do the washing up. Yo, yo, yo. Ian, how are you? Good to meet you as well. Welcome to Darlington. This is Sonny. Ian.
Nice to meet you. One of your investors and one of your own?
That's it. It's the first one we got for an investor. Then we bought the second one.
Doesn't look big enough to have a 6-bedroom there.
They're deceptive. You're going to see, it's Victorian builds. Yeah. So Darlington is where the action is, but it's A1, it's airport, it's railway, it's a transport hub. So the Treasury moved up here, but you've got the Department of Levelling Up, Department of Education already here. So government is moving as much as possible up to Darlington to be part of the levelling up agenda. We've got serviced accommodation. We'll show you that as well. Between Ryan, Kane, Steve, operations manager, who I'm going to introduce you to, and we're trying to give you a little bit of everything in a trip. Morning, gentlemen. Steve.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. It's Bob. Yeah. Over to you to do your tour of properties, and you can just chat about what you're trying to get out of the day as well. And Steve will try and accommodate. Ryan and I will then be back over, and probably Kane, 12:30. You're going to see some great properties. Anything that's not good on them, obviously Steve takes responsibility. Steve is operations manager. He bridges between development when clients come on board and construction, and he's their point of contact right the way through, doing the walkthrough videos each week, showing progress on a property, dealing with any issues. It's better to have one point of contact, and so his skills are stretched across into construction, development. Right, I better go because I've got to be online in 5 minutes.
No, basically, isn't it? So this is the first bedroom number one. There's always generally one bedroom that will be a double bedroom for a couple, which will get slightly command a smaller increase in rental value, yeah. Runs on a weekly basis, so you get a full list of a bill of quantities. You give us the approval, and then we'll start week by week. Every Thursday, video updates go to investors. This is what's been done. You'll have a full video through the whole life cycle of the project. Every Thursday, close of play. Drawdowns will be the same time as well. So you're kept up to speed with exactly what's happening through each phase of the works. We've got close relationships with a solicitor in Newcastle, so if people want access to our solicitors that we introduce, by all means.
Alright, here we are. So we're in the office with Ian. He's met some of the team, he's gone to see some of the sites, and I thought it would be useful for the viewer and for Ian if we could just get a bit of context to understand what's about to happen today, and ultimately for me to be able to do my job properly. So Ian, can you give us a bit of background on yourself, what your ambitions are and plans are in property?
Okay, property is something I've always been interested in, always wanting to get into, but never really took the plunge to go into. My background is sales and marketing. Most recently, I was a transport manager for a bus company, managing a team of 40 people.
You also did sales with investors, right? Overseas?
I used to sell off-plan property in Dubai, but that was just leading up to 2008.
Having a sales background and going into property is mega, because you're ultimately always prospecting, whether you're prospecting a potential investor, prospecting a vendor, an agent, a contractor, you're always selling. So I think sales is a wicked background to have. A lot of people start in development either coming through construction, or they're QS, or they're an expert in a given field but don't have that personability. So having a sales background is like a weapon to your arsenal. Obviously it's the domain expertise that everyone lacks. There's so much to learn, so much to do. You can only absorb so much at a given time. The sourcing side of things is a great barrier to entry, but I wouldn't if you've got that sales acumen, you probably can also get projects off the ground if you can tease someone into a joint venture proposition.
That's the idea.
That is the idea, right?
That's the idea. But finding and assessing or evaluating the deal, making sure it stacks is very important. So if I've got the confidence in the deal, that confidence will transfer into an investor if I want to get them on board as a JV. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and a good way to build up residual, right? So if you can sell one deal a month or something, that's your basic costs covered. And
all I need.
And you can start ideally building up a cash cushion, because when you go into a joint venture proposition, you have a much better hand if you can say, look, I've got 10 grand, I can cover some preliminary costs. Can you cover the large items, the purchase, the construction? And if you've got something there to bring to the table, it makes a joint venture partner, especially if it's a cold lead or it's someone you've not necessarily worked with before, then they know, all right, well, they're putting money in and they're putting all the time in. They've got some skin in the game, and that's just the easiest way to sell. It's what me and Dad had to do initially. We had to put some money in at the same time, and it's much easier to get the money that way. And then later on, once you've proven the track record, then people come to you, and then you can start going, well, this is what I charge, and you start making money for the joint venture, as well as actually getting their money in the deal. Yeah, that's the goal. So in terms of domain knowledge, I'm assuming right now you've learned a lot online, you've done various courses.
I've pretty much watched 95% of your videos, I'd say, which is fantastic, which got me to the stage where I want to come and visit you guys, I want to come and see the project. Yeah. Because totally inspired by buying what appears to be a small terrace property and putting 7 ensuite bedrooms in there. I was blown away. I thought that's a little gold mine, ultimately. Buying around the 100K mark, okay, you higher build costs, but it totally pays off at the end when you refinance, for example, on a commercial mortgage. So, a commercial mortgage is not bricks and mortar valuation, so you can pull out a lot more money and hopefully pull out a lot of the initial investment, should I say. That's what really appealed to me, so you can recycle money.
There's a few different types of HMOs in terms of the kind of experience you're going to have with the development cycle. You've got the easy stuff, which is like 3-4 bed stuff, which we don't really touch. We have done some 4 beds where the numbers are just too good to miss. There's not the quantum of income that comes on the back end for your time spent. So the 5-6 bed's the sweet spot, and that's where we operate, except for some clients who just don't have the capital. Therefore, a 4 bed is where we'll settle. We won't do the 3 bed or anything like that. But you do need a HMO license for 5 and 6 beds, so compliance is important. So there's a domain knowledge there required to make sure that you know the property you're looking at, you know what compliance it needs, what kind of contractor, things like that, out the back end. Then you've got the sui generis stuff, which is all planning permission. So 7 beds up, or if you're in an Article 4 area, restricted areas. So in the south, there's a lot more from the northeast, there's hardly any. I think there's one street here at the bottom of Corporation Road that's Article 4. But other than that, planning permission is a whole different ballgame when it comes to HMOs. They're very contentious in some areas. I've been in 2 different appeals, which is a long-winded 9-month process with the councils. You go to committee, meet the inspectorate, put your case forward. It's basically a court case on just getting the planning permission, because some neighbours rally together and tell everyone to object, and then it just gets really fiddly. So the best place to me for you to start is to find an ideal 6-bed HMO in a non-restricted area. 5-bed would also work, but the 6-bed is just that bit sweeter. 5 bed's okay if the numbers just stack better as a 5, because there might be an inherent capex to getting the extension done to achieve that 6. But if you could try and find a 6-bed property, not only should you be able to sell that as a package deal quite easily, because they're that bit juicier, lean on the commercial values that bit more, but also that's a good one for a joint venture partner because it's likely to look better on the back end as well. So we've got quite a few 6 beds here. I'll show you roughly what we've done there. I'll be open about the mistakes we've made on that site and what we could have done a bit differently in hindsight. There's no such thing as a perfect project. We're here now at 6-bed HMO that we're just finishing off. It's in the decoration stage. We're going to look at the spec, talk about some mistakes in this project and stuff we do differently. As for the property itself, when we viewed it, we were like, ideal, perfect, 6-bed HMO, easy. Really would have liked to have stuck a dormer on it and done a rear extension, but we had to save costs on this one. And when you save costs, there's an implication on the back end, which you'll notice as we go around now. We'll walk through the property before going into the nuance. So you imagine when we bought this, that was just a front living room. So you get a bedroom here, and then their bathroom is shared in there. Doing that, it allowed us to give a bit more to the communal space in there, making sure it's compliant without the cost of an extension, which is, to me, not the most ideal way of doing it. I'd have rather have done the extension, get a really nice kitchen diner, and still a good bedroom, because this way you see in the kitchen diner, that's where the impact's gone on the desirability on the back end.
Is that where you channeled your
exactly. So we channeled it through from there, just through the chimney breast, cheap and easy way to do it and get it out the back. Ideally, you'd stick it under the suspended floor, but solid concrete, so. Yeah, I'd say that the best time to haggle a contractor, if you want to, and you should never really haggle a contractor that's good, because it's the same way you wouldn't, you know, go into Morrison's and say like, oh, sandwich £3, do me for £2.50. Like, these businesses have OPEX, they have their margins that they need to operate in. A good one. Don't get me wrong. You get some lads that will band together. They've just left a few local employers, a few local contractors, got together and gone, right, let's start a construction outfit. Let's go find some green as grass investors or developers or people refurbishing their house and just throw them a number at them and then just be really nice and we'll probably get the job. And those guys you want to stay well clear of. And there's a lot of them lurking out there. And quite a few lads have left our construction business and started contracting outfits. And you're like, fucking hell, mate, you couldn't even plaster a wall. How are you going to manage a job? But you wouldn't know as a client on the receiving end, because these guys can walk around you with terminologies and things, and you just don't know what to look at. And look at their process as well. How are they quoting it? Is it back of the fag packet, or are they giving you an itemised bill? And an itemised bill doesn't necessarily mean 10 grand first fix, 10 grand second fix, 5 grand furniture. You want to see a breakdown or an idea of labour durations, things like that. Contractor's never going to give you an open book unless you have an open book agreement, but that gets very fiddly. You don't want to do open book on a job like this. You want a fixed price, JCT, lump sum contract, just there it is, an itemised breakdown, schedule of work, so you can see how long roughly it's going to take, and ideally a covering letter for the specification, because that's where you can clamp down on the omitting items. If you said in your specification from the start you want wall lights, you want wallpaper on certain feature walls, you want the en-suites to have this sort of cladding or whatever, you can itemise that there, so that when you start the project, you know to completion that you're getting exactly what you agreed, rather than them throughout the project they might lose a bit of money on a certain item, or their labour duration might overshoot what they expected, and then they'll omit one of your other items from the spec to make up for that difference. So you want to like really know how to navigate.
Should you have a spec sheet ready of what product you want before you call the contractor?
Essentially,
so
yeah,
this is exactly what I want.
Yeah, ultimately you've got a floor plan. So a floor plan will dictate, you know, the structural stuff, which the contractor is liable for. That's where they come in. A building control officer and a HMO officer. Those guys will decide on, you know, how best to reach the infrastructure level stuff. You shouldn't be expected to know that knowledge. That's why you employ the professional, right? But make sure that that's itemised in there. Fully compliant HMO, done to building reg standards. Yeah, going through the job from the start, if you've spec'd your light fittings, your other bits and bobs. Some people do them themselves, so you could just come in at the back end and do that. Or things like the cladding, like see that stuff there? We don't do tiles, we do like a cladded, like a shower board. Not only is it way better on the maintenance, it's a lot cheaper to install, but you can still get cheap shit ones or slightly better ones. Yeah, and quicker, yeah. So you can spec all that stuff in that initial covering letter and just spec what you want there, what kind of vinyl, do you want vinyl laminate, do you want what kind of carpet, what colour, like all that kind of stuff. Right, so here we are. Got the plans, laser and pen. Let's get this thing measured. So this is the one we just bought. It's an absolute dive. Yeah, mate, this is battered, this one. There's things you can look for when buying properties like this. You do kind of want to know what you're looking for. Yeah. Obviously, subsidence being the biggest no-no. If there's subsidence, that's an issue. This property doesn't have that. What it was a DSS housing, so social housing, and there was a pan fire, and they had to replace the whole roof. So it's got a spanking new roof on it.
Your presence here has been reported. To prevent security officers arriving shortly, please put your key on the flashing light now.
Have a look above. Yeah, no ceiling, but a brand new roof, which is not bad going. But the way they've done this with the new trusses, as Kane was explaining, it's done in a way where if we want to stick a room up there, we're going to have to pull out some of these trusses, do some temporary support, new floor, and then reinstate purlings, which is going to be a bit costly, but maybe worth it if we can then get into that loft, because we've got the additional space here to turn the stairs up and get in there. So it's something we need to think about, but certainly a good size 5-bed and definitely in bad condition, but it's not the end of the world. It's not as bad as it looks. It's just a lot of exposed floors and ceilings. And obviously the walls aren't in great condition, but everything's straight and square. So yeah, I reckon we'll get it done for about 20 grand. Easy. And here we are at Northgate, or the Beaumonts, now that we changed the name. And we're going to show Ian around a bigger site and show him all the efforts that go into getting one of these off the ground. I did all the designs and just told him what to do, basically. Because I use a 3D CAD software, so I can take the existing plans, so get a digital survey done, I'll convert that to a CAD software, and then just throw it around and see what ideas come out, and then come out with the mezzanine idea and other bits and bobs, and then the architect can then just basically professionalise that and turn it into something that the lads can build to. Building control, we used the private guys on this that the architect recommended, and they were horrendous. They were understaffed, hardly come into site, They sent out a third-party surveyor at one point. So normally when you employ a building control officer, you want the same guy from the start all the way to the finish. They understand the job, they know what's gone on the whole way through. We had 4 different building control officers, 4, which is like mental on a job like this. So each new officer has to get up to grips with the scheme, and then 2 of them were third parties, so they weren't even working for the private building control officer. So it was like carnage dealing with them, because then they'd come up with things later on that you'd already checked previously with another surveyor, and they go, oh no, sorry, we've got a wires crossed, you need to do this now instead, and we go, no, hang on, we've just spent 20 grand sorting that. It was just a ball ache to deal with. And yeah, this was like true baptism in fire, where we learned a lot through this process. But we got on the back end of it, we took a gamble on the SA, we looked at AirDNA and online portals to find out how good would SA operate in this area, everything. In this area? Yeah, loads. Yeah, and enough for us to be like, okay, it's going to cost us another 70 odd grand to get what we needed, most of that being furniture, to get it to a SA sort of spec. Without the SA, the income just wouldn't be as good enough for the capital employed in the scheme. But because of the SA, it's like triple the income. And it's at 89% occupancy for the last month, which for us, from a standing start 2 months ago, is not bad.
And things, it's the hidden graft. What Ryan's done 24/7 since starting is study. He has so much knowledge. I don't on construction. I don't need to because I'm not allowed near it. No one.
Do not let near a fucking hammer, mate. Oh. The amount of mistakes we've avoided from me just candidly going and meet developers and speak to people is like unbelievable. The amount of money we've saved through other people making the mistake for us, and obviously we've made all of our own mistakes, and you just can't avoid them. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about mistakes, but just emphasising that point that finishing the project is always the number one priority. The way that we looked at it is we went, right, we've got a standing start. We spoke to quite a few businesses and stuff, but it's hard to get them interested without us having existing experience or track record. It's hard for them to go, I don't know what it is you guys do yet, because you're cold, like a cold lead. So going to businesses we thought would be a good strategy initially, but didn't actually pan out as well for us as just sticking on the OTAs, which is you book an online travel agent, booking.com, Airbnb, stuff like that. And then through that, we just got a load of clients come through, some of which are just families, and it's like, we still reach out to them, try and meet the guests, but especially if we recognise as a business. So we had, is it Yamaha or Yamazi? Can't remember what it's called. No, it was like the bike manufacturer from Japan.
Oh, Yamaha.
Is it Yamaha? And they've got some site round here, and they've got guys here for 3 months, which is amazing. And they book direct because we reached out to them. And then there'll be repeat business. Darlington Football Club put some guys here, repeat business, get them all direct. Without pissing off the OTAs. Yeah. They save about 10% and we make about 5% because of the difference in the commission charges. Right, we're back in the temporary office set up. We're with Ian. How'd your day go, mate?
My brain is all over the place. There's a lot of information to take in, but it's been absolutely fantastic. I want to say thank you to everyone at the Beaumont Partners. It's been fantastic. I'd love to come up again. And it couldn't have happened sooner, really.
What's the main things that? What's your takeaways? Like I was saying about the 6-bed HMO strategy, I think is probably the best target for you.
Yes, I think that is probably the biggest takeaway. The 6-bed strategy, because it stays within planning, so you don't have to go for planning. And it's a lot easier to set up. You still have good cash flow from that, and you can be in and out quicker.
The hardest bit really is getting the investors. That is I could give you all the domain and all the knowledge and how the HMOs work and stuff like that, but it all comes down to capital requirement and getting that capital out of someone who you may not know. Yeah. So what's your thoughts in terms of finding someone for a JV partnership or to sell and sourcing deals for? Have you thought about your avenue to market there? How are you going to find those people?
I haven't come up with the finer details of it yet, but I'm going to go home and work on a plan on exactly how to do that. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is going to be knowledge based. How you guys have sold me Darlington, I need to learn that and sell it on to an investor. The idea, the concept. Your area and concept. Absolutely. Because if I believe in it, I'm sure I can convince them to believe in it as well. I've got friends around me that are also going on the property journey, which have a bit of cash behind them. So it's all about finding the right deal, I think, that works for everyone.
I always just think it's the easiest people to approach are people you know already, because there's like all those lines you've got to cross with an investor. First one being trust, personalities, not clashing and things like that. It sounds trivial, but if you don't get along with someone and you're in with them for a very long duration or even a 12-month duration, getting along with them is a difficult part of managing that relationship. Even if they've got loads of money, they can be very difficult to work with. So finding the right person, if it's someone you know already, that's the best thing. And then just fucking film everything.
That's
Buy
it.
yourself
Share
one
the
of those.
journey.
Yeah, share the journey.
You
And
can put
social
my
media.
Instagram on the bottom of the video.
Yeah, stick his Instagram. Instagram
You
here.
can follow, see where I am in 6 months. Have I gone back to my previous roles? Am I still in property? Who knows? Or am I working for the Beaumont?
It's coming up there. Everyone's coming to the North East.
I knew it. I've been replaced.
Thank you for watching the video, and thank you Ryan for coming up. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
No, thank you guys.
And thank you Dad for still being here. Don't know you've made it through all these years.
I don't know either.
Subscribe, drop a comment, like, do all that fun stuff. See you in the next